Welcome back on the show. It is Stripes and Whistles with Kansas Referees, our segment where we can bring in a different officials, referees throughout the sports across the states and kind of pick their brain on certain rules and also just certain aspects of the ball game. And today we bring in a Gordie Wetmore. He is a soccer official for the state of Kansas. Hey, Gordie, appreciate your time. How long have you been officiating soccer?
Yeah, Cole, thanks for having me. This is an exciting conversation. Anytime I get to talk soccer refereeing stuff, it's fun. So I've been officiating for about coming in on 20 years. I work on the field in the youth setting as well as high school and at the collegiate level. Haven't been doing that all for 20 years, college for about the last 8 or so. But yeah, been out there getting yelled at for 20, almost 20 years now.
Well, appreciate your service. So for
Yeah.
you, what got you interested in officiating? Like, what made you want to make that jump?
Yeah, so I had other family members that were referees, and then my dad was a longtime high school soccer coach at Shawnee Mission West High School in the northeast part of the state. And that's how I jumped into it, was just, hey, you should do this. It's a great way to make extra money. I played sports. I wasn't very good, but I played soccer, baseball, and basketball. So those are the sports that I officiated growing up. I did baseball for about 6 or 7 years. I still referee high school basketball in the state as well. I've been doing that for about as long as yeah, about exactly the same time as soccer. Actually, I did basketball for 1 year longer. So been doing those two sports, and as I just got into it, I really enjoyed it. Broke in, of course, doing kind of the younger ages, and started to enjoy the job, enjoyed the paychecks. When I was in college, I found that I was making more money and working less hours than almost anybody on my floor, and so I was like, "This is great. I'll do more of this." So I really enjoyed that piece of it. Just really, honestly, getting to know the people is what's kept me around, and the relationships that have been formed. I've truly met some of my best friends through this avocation, and then now my full-time job is with Kansas Youth Soccer as the director of referee development. So I get to do this full time and work with officials and try to create a community of people that are passionate about what we do, giving back to the game in Kansas and outside of that too, across the country, and just build that community, build a culture that says we're here to provide safe, fair, fun, developmental soccer for athletes across the state.
A great soccer background. So you're just the guy that we need for this segment of the show. So, I wanted to bring you on and talk about the offsides rule. And Gordy, I think
Yeah.
anyone in the soccer world is very clear on what offsides is. But before we dive into that conversation, kind of explain what that rule is for those that don't know.
Yeah, this is one of those that don't I think there's a lot of confusion. Shoot, just as I'm out refereeing, this does seem to be one that elicits a response a little bit more from our people in the bleachers, if you will. So the really boring definition, as I've kind of pieced it together, both using NFHS rules as well as IFAB's laws of the game through FIFA, and there's different rule sets because everybody has to justify their paycheck. But definition is kind of the this one. This it needs to be unpacked, but it's a player shall be penalized for an offside offense if while closer to the goal line than the second to last defender or the ball at the timing of the teammate's touch, they become involved in active play. So what we're trying to accomplish is with the offside rule is keeping players from, well, the old term of cherry picking, right?
Right.
So you're not trying to get way ahead and kind of just hang out there and be a vulture for or a shark where we've chummed the waters with the ball, and so it it keeps players, and we use that term second to last defender. I don't want to go, maybe I don't want to go too deep into this right now, but that second to last defender, which is really our last field player most of the time, we want to keep them at that point. And then we want to make sure that they are not closer to the goal line or closer to the goal than that person to avoid that cherry picking incident. So it's kind of a confusing definition, but once we start to play it out in scenarios, I think it comes to life a little bit better.
So like once like they advance the ball. So if you're on one end of the field and then once you kick it to the other side, that's when like you can be starting to run ahead of that defender, right? So but before you kick it, you can't be in front of them or behind them, I guess.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right. So yeah, and we say this all the time in our entry level trainings and with brand new officials is I don't care where they receive the ball. I care where they are when the ball was kicked. And so there's some nuances to that. Like you can't be offside in your own half. So if you're in your own half at the time the ball is kicked, even if you're closer to the goal, let's say the defender's pushed way, 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 way up. If you're in your own half, it's all bets are off. You're good to go. But in that, as we're moving the ball towards the goal, as we're playing offense, just like soccer was intended, we're saying, hey, you got to play by this rule. We got to keep you closer or further from the goal line so that we don't have that cherry picking incident. There have been rumors in soccer over the years about abolishing the law or making changes to it or doing different things. I think they just stay as rumors. So.
How tough is it from your perspective to officiate that as far as just making sure you have eyes on everything, especially when the ball is kicked?
Yeah, it's challenging. It really hammers home the point that our assistant referees, their main duty above even ball in and out of play along a touch line or a goal line, their main job is to stay in line with the second to last defender or the ball, whichever's closer to the goal line. So that's why you see those assistant referees being as active as they can to stay in line with that last field player or second to last defender, because our last defenders are goalkeeper usually. So they have to stay locked in with that person. So we teach our referees to have about 3 seconds looking at that person. We want to keep our body square to the field, about 3 seconds looking at that person, and 1 second to check on the ball, and then we're back. And that's usually when we're attacking. If it's going the other way, we can relax a little bit more, but we don't want to relax too much so that we're way out of position. Even a few feet one way or another off of that second to last defender can skew the decision making. So it's essential for that assistant referee to stay in line with that person. A lot of the calls that are missed are not because they don't know what offside is. Just like in sports in general, if officials miss calls, it's not because they don't know what a foul is or what the infraction of the rule is. It's usually because we're not in the right position, if we're just
True.
honest. And so, in those situations with offside, there are complexities to the law when you get into little nuances. But the hardest part is just making sure you stay in line. And then we typically try to watch for the defender and listen for the kick and or collect that peripherally. So you can see how that's challenging, especially in games where like we're into our postseason high school boys soccer here in the state of Kansas right now when we're having this conversation. And it, these games can get rowdy, they can get loud. And so sometimes that perception of like being able to watch and listen, it can get a little bit skewed. So it can be a very challenging decision to make.
I know for a lot of folks, when I am around people that are watching soccer and they don't watch a ton of it, the common phrase I always hear is there's not enough offense, and they want to see more score and they want to see that production. But like for me, like one of the best things is like the nuances of the game where it is difficult to score and you have to take your times and pick your moments. So like for you, Gordie, like, I mean, do you think that rule is kind of in place to kind of keep the fundamentals of that soccer game intact?
I think so. I think so. And I think it forces teams to be creative and to it showcases a little bit more of the technical nature of soccer. Teams that decide to play more technically, where they're building, we're seeing a trend where player teams are building out of the back, where instead of the goalkeeper, or like on a goal kick or a punt, just booting it as far as they can down
Yeah.
the field. It's more so now, let's connect and we play a square ball to our right or to our left, and we try to build through the back and expose the midfield, draw the forwards from the opposing team in, and then build that way. There's still a lot of soccer that's very direct, that's very kick it long and chase. And those are the games that are probably more challenging to referee for a myriad of reasons, but especially when it comes to offside, because you have players that are taken off down the field and you're judging when's the kick, where's the player at the time of the kick. And so I think it makes soccer a little bit of a it lends to that beautiful game idea that soccer has so long, for years, kind of labeled itself. But it definitely, I understand the idea of there's not enough offense in the game, but I think once you get behind the scenes and you understand the tactics of what's
Yeah.
happening and what teams are trying to build, there's a lot of beauty to it.
Hey, Gordie, appreciate the time, and we'll catch up later on.
Absolutely, always happy to chat soccer. Thanks, Cole.
As Gordie Wetmore, one of the soccer officials for the state of Kansas, that'll do it for Stripes and Whistles with Kansas referees.